and this is probably the most controversial one. I'll just say that up front. Probably the most controversial in Christian circles, and so I'm going to do my best to give you the best answer that I can, according to my opinion. It's according to my opinion, and if you disagree with me, that's okay. You don't have to agree with your preacher about every little thing. If you think that I'm sinful, then please come and address me personally and let me know if I'm off. I'm always open for correction. So please come and tell me if you think I'm wrong or sinful in this way. But here's the best that I can do with this. Question number 6. Why do we celebrate Christmas even though it has pagan roots? And if it's okay to do so, where does one draw the line on other holidays like Halloween, which seem to be more honest with its true intentions? All right, so let me do the best with this question. I think there is a presupposition in the question that I do not agree with. The question that I need to follow up with is it universally agreed upon, or is it universally agreed upon knowledge that Christmas has pagan roots? And to that I would answer no. I don't think that's universally agreed upon. Is there proof beyond any reasonable doubt based upon first-hand evidence that Christmas has pagan roots? And to that I would also answer no. I don't think that based upon first-hand evidence that Christmas is based upon pagan roots. Now, if you go searching online, you will find all sorts of things as to where Christmas originated from. And so, let me ask you a couple questions. Is Christmas celebrated in the Bible? Well, the answer to that is no. Christmas is not celebrated in the Bible, but the event that Christmas celebrates is in the Bible. And what is that? The birth of Jesus Christ. And when Christ came to this earth, did they celebrate? You better believe they did. Angels were rejoicing, singing in heaven. God sent his angels, and basically they're singing glory to God in the highest, peace on earth. The shepherds are running. The wise men come all the way from the east to come over and see the king of Israel and to bring him presents and to worship him. They celebrated the coming of Jesus. It was a very exciting event, the coming of the Messiah. But they didn't celebrate Christmas as we celebrate it today. That is admitted. Let me ask this question. Is December 25th pagan? Well, I would say no, December 25th is not pagan. No day is pagan. Days are just neutral. There's no pagan day. God made all days. And so there's no pagan day. There's no certain day that belongs to pagans. God owns all days. Now, what you do with that day, the activities that you perform in that day could be pagan or could be sinful. But no day is pagan in and of itself. But it is often said that December 25th is the birth of Mithra, or they say it is the celebration of Saturnalia, or they say it is the birthday of Sol Invictus. Now, Sol is sun, and it's like the conquering god. The Invictus is the idea of conquering, so the sun that conquers all is kind of the idea. There's a celebration of that. This would go on in the Roman Empire. Mithra was a Persian god. And it's said that this goes all the way back to 1200 BC. So there's all sorts of tales going around today about these pagan deities. But let me just give you a couple of them. Like, for example, Mithra. This is an ancient Iranian or Persian deity that goes all the way back to 1200 BC. It was said, tell me if this sounds familiar, it was said that Mithra was born of a virgin, was born on December 25th. Had 12 disciples, performed miracles, was dead for 3 days, resurrected, and then Sunday was the day that the followers worshiped. That's what it says of Mithra. Sounds familiar, right? People use this as to say, see, Christianity is just another one of these religions that have always been around in time, and all these pagan cultures have these people too, and that's all Christianity is. Okay, well, let's look at this. Was Mithra actually born of a virgin? No. First-hand evidence actually says that he actually emerged out of a rock full grown and wearing a hat. That was where Mithra came from. Was he born on December 25th? There is no date anywhere that Mithra was born on December 25th. There's no evidence anywhere that he was born on December 25th. Did he have 12 disciples? This is false. It is said in writings that Mithra had only 1 or 2 disciples. Did he perform miracles? The only great feat that Mithra is known in performing was that he killed a bull. Was he dead for 3 days? This is false. There's no record anywhere of Mithra dying. Was he resurrected? There's no evidence at all that he was resurrected. And was Sunday the day that his followers worshiped? There's no evidence anywhere of this either. Again, you're not, whenever you hear something, it doesn't matter if you read it in a book or it doesn't matter if you hear it online. If you read an article online or if you listen to a video online, this is what you must do. Look for the footnotes. Where are they getting their information from? Because if they don't have firsthand evidence, then I would be very, very skeptical that this is actually true. So look for the firsthand evidence. Look for the sources that are claiming these things are true. And then there was another ancient Egyptian deity named Horus. This goes all the way back to 3000 BC in the Egyptian culture. It said also that he was born of a virgin, born on December 25th. There was a star in the east at his birth. He was adored by 3 kings. He was a teacher at age 12. He baptized and had a ministry at age 30. He had 12 disciples. Well, was he born of a virgin? No, he was not born of a virgin. His mother and father, Osiris was his father, Isis was his mother. And it was said that Osiris, his dad, was torn to pieces, and Isis pieced the father back together so that he could have relations with her, causing her to conceive and have a child, and that child was Horus. That's far from a virgin birth. It's a weird and absurd type of story, but that's far from a virgin birth. Was he born on December 25th? Actually, if you look back at the records, Horus was either born in August or July, depending on which calendar you are looking at. Was there a star in the east? There's no credible source for this. Was he adored by 3 kings? There's no source for this. Was he a teacher at age 12? There's no source for this. And by the way, if they're trying to copy Jesus, the Bible never says that Jesus was teaching at age 12. Just that he was in the temple asking questions, and they were blown away by the wisdom of his questions. It doesn't say that he was teaching. So if they are trying to copy Jesus, but Horus, there's no source for this at all. Did he baptize? Did he baptize and start his ministry or was he baptized and did he start his ministry at age 30? There's no source for this. Did he have 12 disciples? It was said that Horus had 4 followers, but not 12. And then another one is in ancient Greece, Dionysus, who was the Greek god of wine. It says that he was born of a virgin, born on December 25th, performed miracles. He is called the King of Kings. He's called Alpha and Omega. And it says that he was resurrected. Well, let's just go through these. Born of a virgin, not true. There's no evidence for that. Born on December 25th, no documentation of that anywhere. Performed miracles. He is a deity. Of course, it is said that there were miracles that he performed, but all the Greek gods, they basically were a figment of their imagination. The Greek gods were all made up by the people. And so, yes, he is a deity, and of course, there will be tales of miracles that he did, but even the evidence for his miracles are lacking. He gave the people a lot of wine, is what he did. The people in the Greek Empire, they loved wine, and they loved the god of wine, Dionysus, and so, anyway, he gave them a lot of wine. He is called the King of Kings. There's no source that he was actually called the King of Kings. He was called Alpha and Omega, no source for this either. He was resurrected. There's no evidence that this is true. And so the evidence is lacking. The evidence is lacking on all these. What about Christmas being a celebration of Saturnalia? Saturnalia is a celebration of the Roman god Saturn. And they said, that's all Christmas is. It's a celebration of Saturnalia. Well, the Roman celebration of Saturnalia was not on December 25th, but it was from December 17th to the 23rd. It used to be only on December 17th, but they enjoyed the celebration so much but that by the 1st century, they extended it a full 7 days to December the 23rd. It was said they would go house to house while singing. And it said this is true. There's one difference between the way that people carol today house to house and the way that they did it. The way that they did it was they did it in the nude. So certainly that doesn't carry over. It said that this celebration would involve human sacrifice. It would involve the reversal of roles where they would free slaves and the owners would serve them, but it was more of a mockery to the slaves rather than a nice gesture. It involved drunkenness. It involved rape and sexual immorality. And Christmas, I believe, is not a celebration of Saturnalia. Some people say it's a celebration of Natalis Sol Invictus. This was on December 25th, but it's not really even sure what this was. The first reference to this is vague. It's actually found in a 4th century document. The first reference to this is found in the 4th century document, and this same 4th century document gives the birth of Christ as December the 25th. And so why is it that we celebrate the birth of Christ on December 25th? I'm running out of time. I'm going to hurry, so try to listen to my words. I'm really going to hurry with these words here. But we don't actually know for sure why we celebrate the birth of Christ on December 25th. There's no good documentation as to why we actually do it on December 25th. There are some guesses. The most scholarly opinion out there is that it is thought, the Jewish people, it said, of the time, thought that the same day that a prophet was conceived is the same day that he was going to die. And they say that Christ died on March 25th at around the time of the Passover, and they say that was the same day as his conception, March 25th. If you fast forward 9 months, what do you come to? December 25th. So the most scholarly opinion out there is that the idea that the Jewish people had that he would be conceived on the same day makes them think that he was born on December 25th. Another thought is that it was just after the winter solstice, and it is symbolic of the fact that there will be more light from here on. So it's just symbolic. Another thought is that it was to repurpose the pagan days. There's not a lot of support for this. Another thought is that the Magi may have arrived on this day. But we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure why December 25th. But is there anything inherently pagan about December 25th? No. Again, the day is amoral. There is nothing inherently pagan about any day, as I said. But let me say this. Even if some pagan religion celebrated some pagan god on December 25th and did similar things to what people do on Christmas, does not mean that Christians are wrong for celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ, giving gifts to one another to celebrate, and singing songs about his coming. I think that if we took a thing that was done by pagans to celebrate some pagan god, and to take that same day and to celebrate the birth of the true God, the living God, Jesus Christ the Savior, and we were to do some sort of celebration in commemoration of him instead of using it for a pagan worship day, I think that would be a great thing. Let's take the day and celebrate the God of heaven rather than a pagan God. And so I think that would be something worth being celebrated, not ridiculed. But most people, even people who aren't Christians, aren't celebrating paganism on December 25th either. I believe the meaning of all these things, Saturnalia, Sol Invictus, all these other celebrations in the past, all these have completely lost their meaning. I believe that people who are not even Christians are probably celebrating a tradition of giving gifts, listening to music, and celebrating with family. But they don't attach any deity to it. And I believe they're not celebrating paganism in that sense. If they're not connecting God to it, in a sense it's pagan or atheistic, whatever you want to call it. But they're not celebrating a pagan deity just because they're celebrating on that day. Just the same way that if you do celebrate Christmas on that day and you don't connect Christ with it, then you're not celebrating Christ, right? The purpose for which you're celebrating is what makes the difference. Okay, so nobody is forced to celebrate Christmas, so if you don't want to participate in it at all, then that is fine. Nobody should look down on anybody else because they don't want to celebrate Christmas on December the 25th. Because even as Christians, we don't celebrate the coming of Christ one day a year. We celebrate the coming of Christ all days of the year. Same at Easter. We don't celebrate the resurrection of Christ one day a year. We celebrate the resurrection of Christ every day of the year. But we emphasize it. If a Christian wants to emphasize it, especially on one day of the year, then I think that that's okay. And even if the celebration of Christmas has some pagan practices from the past, which I think is questionable, to that I would say, so what? Did you know that baptism was done by the Babylonian culture? Baptism was done by the Babylonian culture the same way that we practice it today. And yet God took that practice and he put it into Christianity, and he wanted his followers to do it as a picture and a symbol of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And you might say, yeah, well, God commanded that, and he didn't command us to celebrate Christmas. I know, but that's not my point. My point is this. There was nothing inherently pagan or sinful about baptism just because the Babylonians did it. And there's nothing inherently sinful or pagan about celebrating Christmas just because some pagan culture did it. The purpose for which you do it makes all the difference. If something's not sinful, if it's just amoral, the purpose for which you do it makes all the difference. Now, if you are going to get baptized to the Babylonian god Marduk, then that's really bad. All of a sudden, your baptism becomes sinful and you are worshiping a false god. If you are baptized in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, all of a sudden, that's really good. That's really good. Just like if you celebrate Christmas to the Roman god of the sun, Sol, or to the Roman god Saturn, then that's really bad. But if you want to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ coming into the world, then that is really good. As long as none of these practices that you're doing are sinful, then there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, I was going to get into a Christmas tree, but I'm out of time. So a lot of people think Christmas trees are pagan, Christmas trees are idols. They get this from Jeremiah 10, verses 3 through 4. I was going to read through all this, but I just don't have time, so if you're interested, you can come and see me after. In Jeremiah 10, it's not referring to Christmas trees. It's referring to idols. They would take a tree, they would carve out of the tree, out of the wood tree, an idol. They would plate it with gold, they would plate it with silver, and then they would bow down and worship it as if it was a god. That's what they were doing in Jeremiah 10. It's not referring to Christmas trees. The Israelites never had a practice of putting Christmas trees in their house. They were worshiping idols. And no Christian that I know of is bringing a Christmas tree into their house and worshiping it. And if you are, that's really bad. You need to stop. But if it's a decoration, which I believe most Christmas trees are, then I think there's nothing wrong with having a Christmas tree. If you don't want a Christmas tree, that's fine. But if you have one, all it is a decoration. Just like a palm leaf is a decoration, a candle is a decoration, a palm tree is a decoration, lilies in your house in Easter are a decoration. It is a decoration. It is a plant. There's nothing pagan about a Christmas tree. It's a decoration. And Jeremiah 10 is not a good precedent for that. And so anyway, I was going to actually show the passage on that and get into that more. There was a little more that I had because the question went into Halloween. I'm going to save all that. I know that what I said was probably already controversial enough. So if you want to hear more, you can come and see me after. But let's go ahead and we'll pray, and then we'll take a little break. Father, thank you.